The S-Cinetone picture profile is a picture profile that I use majority of the time, even way more than the S-Log3 picture profile. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys why I do that. Before we jump into the rest of the video, I did make a video sequence with a few different shots. Half of them are shot in S-Cinetone picture profile and half of them are shot in the S-Log3 picture profile. And I want you guys guess if you can see which one's which. So I'm going to play that right now. Alright, so the shots labeled number 1 were S-Log3. The shots labeled number 2 were S-Cinetone. I was the one to shoot and edit this video, and I still couldn't tell the difference at the end, but let's jump into the video and talk about S-Cinetone and why it's my main picture profile. Long story short, ever since the industry has been shifting over to short form content, I've had a smaller window of time to edit my videos. That being said, I was looking for a way to minimize the time I spent editing and shooting. As soon as I got my A7 IV, I decided to try shooting with the S-Cinetone picture profile. As soon as I started using it, I basically realized that this is minimal effort. It looks amazing right out of the camera. It doesn't take too much color grading, and more importantly, it's really easy to expose. I also want to mention that it works great in low light. Another plus is how cinematic and clean and crispy that image looks, and I haven't had anyone say anything bad about the picture quality. It's all been good, and my clients are usually really good about giving me feedback, especially when it comes to color and the look of the film. A lot of my clients say over and over again how much they love the look that I kind of bring to their videos. I know I mentioned that it's easy to expose for, but I want to go into a little more depth into that subject. So when I was shooting with S-Log3, especially in low light situations, it takes a lot of effort to expose properly to make sure you get minimal amount of noise in your shots. I'm not saying it's impossible to get great shots with S-Log3 in low light. However, it does take an extra amount of work and you gotta really be careful. So when I was shooting on S-Log3 in low light situations, I was checking my zebras and using my exposure meter, but it was just this extra step I had to take to make sure everything was right. On top of that, I was also kind of always a little paranoid about shooting S-Log3 because I'm never really know. Like I do know, but I don't know. It's kind of this weird paranoia I have with it where I'd be shooting and I'm like, is it exposed right? Am I gonna have to like do a bunch of editing after to get the shot to look the way I want it to? So there was like this huge like anxiety around shooting in S-Log3. And to be honest with you, even though I've shot with it a ton, especially for a bunch of weddings I've shot and everything went great, the anxiety part of it never just went away. Like I never got fully comfortable just shooting in S-Log3. But while I'm shooting with S-Cinetone, I feel very comfortable. I feel very confident because exposing for it is super easy, like I said, and it doesn't take that much extra work. I can also kind of eyeball it on the monitor. That was a big thing for me too, so I didn't have to really look at the zebras and exposure meter. I can just kind of look at the monitor and I kind of know at this point which part is exposed properly and which parts aren't, so I could adjust accordingly. Shooting S-Cinetone also gives me this kind of run and gun feel, so I don't feel like I need to do too much setting up. I just have the image ready and it's ready to go, so I can catch these moments in a snap. Especially during weddings and shooting events or anything like that, I feel like I need to just be ready and I don't have time to keep adjusting every so often. So how do you use S-Cinetone? It's really easy. You just go into your menu, go to your picture profiles, and S-Cinetone is already set on your Sony camera to picture profile 11, or at least it is on the A7 IV. I'm not 100% sure on the FX3 or any of the other cameras. But once you set it, you can make small adjustments to the settings inside if you want. I just kept mine as it is because I thought it looked great, and you're basically good to go. And like I said before, as far as exposing goes, you can set your zebras, but I don't really use zebras when I'm shooting S-Cinetone. I use just the exposure meter at the bottom of the screen. So if you're seeing 0, 0 and you're not seeing +2 or -2 or anything like that, then you're good to go. So just aim for 0, 0. But don't just rely on that. Make sure you're also looking at your LCD screen or your monitor, because sometimes it might say 0, but the part you're trying to expose for isn't exposed properly, especially when you're outdoors with a bright sky, or you're indoors and there's a weird light happening. So make sure you're conscious of that as well. I also want to say I'm not knocking S-Log3. S-Log3 is an amazing picture profile. If you do have the time, then I'd suggest learning how to use it, because it's going to give you a really good amount of dynamic range and a lot of flexibility in color grading. So for my personal projects, sometimes where I do have a bunch of time and flexibility, I do shoot in S-Log3 because I have fun color grading the footage, and I have a great time, like, you know, exposing for it and all that stuff, and I can take the time to set up the shots that I want to get. Thanks guys for watching this video. I hope it was informative. My name is Michael. I'm a filmmaker based out of Detroit. I just started posting videos about videography and cinematography and my line of work. Not the best videographer, but I'm definitely not the worst. And I've been doing this for around 8 to 10 years now, and my clients seem to love my work. So that means I'm doing something right? Thanks guys. Peace.